You're scrolling through your phone when it hits you. The Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 8 is only about 6 months away. And thanks to a flood of leaks and rumors, we practically know the phone already. Some of these upgrades sound absolutely insane, while others will have you wondering what Samsung is thinking. So let's dive into everything we know so far about the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 8, the crease-free display, the bigger battery, the design changes, the slightly underwhelming cameras, and even a possible second wide version of the Fold. Let's start with the biggest leak everyone's talking about: a completely crease-free display. If you've followed foldable phones at all, you know the crease has been the Achilles heel of every single model. But this is where things get really interesting. This crease-free tech has actually been rumored for Apple's upcoming iPhone Fold for a while, and the panel itself is supposedly being manufactured by Samsung. So you can probably guess where this breakthrough is headed next. That's right. The Galaxy Z Fold 8 is expected to use the same next-generation foldable display technology. Samsung has already said their version won't be 100% identical to Apple's panel, but the core technology will be very similar. And this isn't just speculation. The new panel was actually showcased at CES 2026. The secret behind this crease-free display is something called a dual ultra-thin glass structure. On top of that, the backplate is rumored to be made using brand new laser drilling technology. This laser process reinforces the entire folding structure, which should dramatically reduce or even eliminate the crease we're all used to seeing. And yes, this is the exact same approach Apple is allegedly planning to use on the iPhone Fold. So what about the actual display specs? The outer display is expected to be around 6.5 inches, while the inner foldable screen should come in at about 8 inches. That means Samsung is sticking with almost the exact same form factor and aspect ratio as last year's Galaxy Z Fold 7. If you were hoping for a radical change in size or proportions, this might be a bit disappointing. Peak brightness is also rumored to stay at around 2,600 nits, which is already extremely bright for most situations. Both the inner and outer displays should support a 120 Hz refresh rate, and the cover screen will reportedly be protected by Gorilla Glass Ceramic 2. However, there is one issue from the Fold 7 that really needs fixing. On my Z Fold 7, the maximum brightness drops fast, especially in hot conditions. It's frustrating when you're outdoors on a sunny day and the screen keeps dimming itself. If Samsung is keeping similar display hardware, I'm really hoping they optimize thermal and brightness management this time. Now let's talk about the overall design and build quality of the Galaxy Z Fold 8. Visually, the design is expected to be almost identical to the Z Fold 7. Same general look, same folding mechanism, same overall shape. But there is one notable change. Samsung may be ditching the titanium backplate from the Fold 7 and going back to CFRP carbon fiber reinforced plastic. If you followed Samsung's foldables for a while, you'll recognize CFRP from earlier generations. It's lighter and cheaper, so this looks like a cost-cutting move more than anything else. The frame itself should still be made from the same armor aluminum that Samsung strengthened by about 10% on the Z Fold 7, the upgraded Armor Flex hinge, and multi-rail structure from the Fold 7 are also expected to carry over to the Fold 8. Now, here's my honest experience with that armor aluminum. It's not as tough as it sounds. My Z Fold 7 slipped out of my pocket while I was sitting down, maybe a 10 centimeters drop, and it still ended up with visible scuffs on the frame. For a phone this expensive, that's pretty disappointing. I really hope Samsung either hardens the aluminum further or adds better impact protection. In terms of size, Samsung is reportedly aiming to keep the exact same thickness as the PIC Z Fold 7, 8.9 millimeters when folded and 4.2 millimeters when unfolded. Personally, I was hoping for an even thinner Fold 8, especially when some newer tri-fold concepts are getting down to around 3.9 millimeters at their thinnest point. That said, these numbers are still very impressive when you consider everything that's packed inside this device. The Z Fold 7 is still one of the thinnest foldable phones on the market. But what's even more exciting is the rumored weight reduction on the Galaxy Z Fold 8. Early reports suggest it could weigh as little as 200 grams. For context, the Z Fold 7 already went through a huge weight cut, dropping from 239 grams on the Fold 6 to 215 grams. That made it the lightest book-style foldable at launch. If Samsung really manages to push the weight all the way down to around 200 grams on the Fold 8, it's going to feel amazing in the hand. Here's why that 15-gram difference matters more than you think. On a regular phone, 15 grams is noticeable, but not a huge deal. On a large foldable, where the weight is spread across a much bigger surface area, even a small reduction feels much more dramatic in day-to-day use. What makes this even more impressive is that Samsung might achieve this weight cut while actually increasing the battery capacity. After 6 years of using the same 4,400 milliamp hours battery ever since the Galaxy Z Fold 2, Samsung is finally rumored to be bumping it up to a 5,000 mAh cell in the Galaxy Z Fold 8. From an engineering standpoint, what Samsung did last year was already kind of insane. They kept the exact same 4,400 mAh battery, but still reduced the phone's thickness by about 25% by slimming down almost everything else around it. So if they're keeping the thickness the same this year, it makes perfect sense that they can squeeze in a bigger battery. We don't know for sure whether this 5,000 mAh pack will use silicon carbon tech or just be a higher density lithium-ion battery. My guess is that it'll be a more traditional high density lithium-ion setup, similar to what we see in phones like the iPhone Air, simply because the capacity bump is only around 13% from 4,400 to 5,000 AF. Samsung were going all in on silicon carbon batteries. We probably see much more aggressive numbers, something like 6,000 mAh. Similar to what we've seen on devices like the Honor Magic V5. Regardless of the exact chemistry, though a bigger battery is a very welcome upgrade. Combined with a more efficient Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 processor and power-efficient OLED panels, we should see noticeably better battery life on the Galaxy Z Fold 8. Unfortunately, this is where the good news starts to slow down. The cameras. This is easily the most disappointing part of the Z Fold 8 rumor mill. The main camera sensor is expected to remain exactly the same as on the Z Fold 7, a 200 megapixel shooter. The same one used in the Galaxy S25 Ultra. The two 10 megapixel selfie cameras, one on the cover display and one under the inner display, are also rumored to remain unchanged. The only camera upgrades we're hearing about are fairly minor. The ultra-wide camera might jump from 12 megapixels to 50 megapixels, likely using the same sensor as the S25 Ultra. The telephoto camera could get a small bump from 10 megapixels to 12 megapixels, but honestly, that's not nearly enough. Z Fold 7's main camera is already pretty solid, so keeping that sensor isn't a deal breaker. The ultra-wide is decent, but definitely has room for improvement. So a 50 megapixel upgrade would be nice. The real problem is the telephoto. On the Z Fold 7, the 10 megapixel telephoto sensor is tiny and performs poorly in low light. Once the sun goes down, it's basically unusable. This is the lens I was really hoping Samsung would overhaul this year with a larger sensor and better optics. From what we're hearing, though, it doesn't look like that's happening. Even going from 10 to 12 megapixels won't mean much if the sensor size stays small. Meanwhile, competing foldables from brands like Honor and Oppo are using significantly larger telephoto sensors, and the difference in zoom image quality, especially at night, is obvious. And remember, the Galaxy Z Fold 8 is expected to cost around $2,000. That's more expensive than almost every other foldable phone out there. Samsung reportedly plans to keep the same price as last year, so at least we're not seeing a price hike. But at this price point, the camera hardware really should be more competitive. There is one potentially good piece of news though. The S Pen might be coming back. Samsung removed S Pen support from the Z Fold 7, and in my opinion, that was a mistake. I don't personally use the S Pen every day, but when you're spending this much money on a foldable with a massive inner screen, stylus support just makes sense for note-taking, sketching, editing, and productivity. On top of that, almost every other premium foldable now supports stylus input in some form. So if the Galaxy Z Fold 8 restores S Pen compatibility, that would immediately make it more attractive for power users and creators.